Hello everyone and welcome into Coach Craig's Sports. This is the NBA DFS Core Pick video for today, Wednesday, March 20th. If you are joining me for the very first time, this is how today's video will be structured. We'll be going over a recap of yesterday's picks, seeing how they ultimately ended up turning out. Then after that, we'll get moved over to the injuries in play. It's going to be an 8-game main slate on both sites tonight. There are no back-to-backs today, so that is something that is pretty convenient for today's slate overall. And then after that, we'll get moved over to both DraftKings and FanDuel and talk about my core picks on both sites. So it's going to be one player at each position. So point guard, shooting guard, small forward, power forward, and center. But without further ado, we'll get started with that recap of yesterday's picks. On the DraftKings side, at point guard, we went with Trey Jones. $5,600. We were looking for at least 28 out of him. He got to 40.75, so he was a really good hit on yesterday's slate. At shooting guard, ultimately ended up on Jordan Poole, $6,600. We were looking for 33 points at the minimum out of him. He got to 22.25, so he ended up being a mess. 5 for 18 shooting from the field, and it was a pretty big blowout yesterday versus that Orlando Magic team. On the opposite side of that game, we had Justin Champagnie to start off the day. He was not in the starting lineup, so I did get a little bit worried at that point in time and did switch over to Franz Wagner. If you went with Champagnie and stuck with him, and ultimately ended up paying off. But Franz Wagner, $7,100, looking for at least 36 out of him, got 17. So he ended up being a pretty bad miss there. Only played 24 minutes in this game, mainly scoring dependent, and the game was a pretty big blowout once again. And then at power forward, we went with Patrick Baldwin Jr., $4,000, looked for at least 20 out of him, got 27.75, so he was the hit. And then Derek Lively at that center position, $4,000 as well, looking for at least 20 out of him, got to 21.75, so he was a hit. Not quite the hit I wanted out of him yesterday, but still a hit regardless. So pretty hit or miss on the FanDuel side yesterday. Obviously, Franz Wagner having that very poor performance really hurt us overall. Hopefully you guys had some other good plays to go alongside these core 5 and ultimately ended up at least getting like a min cash out of it, but a little bit more difficult day yesterday, especially with some of the value that we did have overall. You needed to get to like Justin Champagnie and Jared Butler for that Washington Wizards team just in general, and then maybe a little bit of that Minnesota value that we didn't ultimately know that we were getting for sure at the very end of the day. And then on the FanDuel side, we had Trey Mann at point guard, $6,100, looking for 31 out of him. Only got 25.3. He was a mess. Played 29 minutes in this game. Only 5 for 8 shooting from the field, so didn't take a ton of shots yesterday, and the game was a blowout. And then at shooting guard, we had Jordan Poole once again, $6,900. Looking for at least 35 out of him. Got to 20. He was a miss. Shot bad from the field once again, 5 for 18, and that game was a pretty big blowout as well. And then at small forward, we have Patrick Baldwin Jr., $4,100 on the FanDuel side, got to 27.9, so he ultimately ended up being a hit. And then at power forward, we stayed on Jabari Smith Jr., $6,800. Looking for 34 out of him, got to 37.8, so he was a hit. Good to see him being a hit since the last 2 times in the core that we played him, he did not end up hitting, but that is kind of besides the point. And then at center, we got Nick Richards, $5,800, looking for at least 29 out of him, only got 16.7, so he was a mess. Played 28 minutes in this game, but it was a blowout as well, and he just did not play well whatsoever. So I think at this point in time, it's probably safe to say that Nick Richards is probably just going to go in our do not play in the core list at this point in time. Kind of mix and match him in some other lineups if you want to do that, but he's not going to be a core pick for anytime soon. But ultimately, with that being said, pretty hit or miss day overall, like I said, on the DraftKings side. If you got to some of the Wizards value, the ones that paid off, you probably did pretty good. If you didn't, maybe been a little bit tougher day to cash overall. But with that being said, we'll get moved over to RotoWire and talk about those injuries in play for tonight's slate. So once again, it is an 8-game main slate overall. There are no teams on the back-to-backs, so we should have a lot of this injury news pretty early on today, especially by the time we do get over to lock. But we're going to start off with the Miami Heat. We got Tyler Hero, Kevin Love, and Duncan Robinson all out for them tonight. And then Nikola Jovic and Jimmy Butler, both listed as questionable to play. I believe Jimmy Butler's missed their 2 most recent games. I think Jovic got hurt in their most recent game. So could be some value opening up on this Heat team overall. We'll see ultimately what this starting lineup does ultimately end up looking like for them overall. Then the Cleveland Cavaliers side there without Ty Jerome, Donovan Mitchell, Evan Mobley, Max Strus, and Dean Wade all once again. So pretty similar to what we've seen out of them in recent games. For the Indiana Pacers, we got Doug McDermott officially listed as questionable. He's missed quite a few games now at this point in time with that calf injury. We'll see whether or not he plays tonight or not. But not anybody that we really want to get to for DFS purposes. And then on the opposite side with the Detroit Pistons, we got Quentin Grimes, Isaiah Stewart, and Asir Thompson all out for tonight's game. And then we got Taj Gibson and Simone Fontecchio, both listed as questionable to play. So it could be a little bit of value opening up on this Pistons team overall. Moving over to the Milwaukee Bucks, Marshawn Beauchamp listed as probable to play due to his back injury, and then we got Giannis listed as questionable for tonight's game, so could open up a little bit of value tonight if he ultimately is unable to go. And on the Boston Celtics side, we got Jaylen Brown, Sam Hauser, and Drew Holiday all listed as questionable to play. So if one or two of those guys ultimately end up getting ruled out, could be a little bit of value opening up for the Boston Celtics as well. Then we can move down to the Sacramento Kings, who are without Kevin Huerter and Trey Lyles, and then Sasha Vechenko has been upgraded to questionable to play for tonight's game. We'll see whether or not he does make his return from that ankle injury. But the biggest one here is going to be Kevin Huerter being out. We probably see Keon Ellis getting back into that starting lineup once again, and then Malik Monk probably having at least safer minutes for tonight overall. Makes everybody else just a little bit safer as well, like Harrison Barnes, Keegan Murray in terms of minutes. And then on the opposite side of the game, we got Toronto Raptors, Scotty Barnes, RJ Barrett, Chris Boucher, DJ Carton, Jakob Poeltl, and Emmanuel Quickley. All this is out for tonight's game, so obviously the newest one there is going to be Emmanuel Quickley. Safe to assume that Bruce Brown kind of gets that start as that de facto point guard once again tonight, so he's going to look like a pretty good play overall. A lot of usage, a lot of minutes, a lot of shots to go around for this Raptors team just in general. So it could be a pretty good value spot there once again. And then we move over to Utah Jazz, who are without Jordan Clarkson and Lauri Markkanen once again. John Collins listed as questionable to play. We'll see ultimately whether or not he's good to go tonight or not. And then the Oklahoma City Thunder appear to be all the way healthy at this point in time. Move down to the Memphis Grizzlies, who's always kind of that team that we don't even like talking about. We got Brandon Clark, Luke Kennard, Scottie Pippen Jr., Derrick Rose, Marcus Smart, Lamar Stevens, Yuta Watanabe, and Zaire Williams all out once again tonight. And then Vince Williams listed as doubtful. Santi Aldama listed as questionable with his elbow injury, which he's kind of been playing through anyways, so not too worried about him. And then we did see the return of Desmond Bane like 2 games ago now, so it should be pretty interesting for Memphis. You know, if you want to get to Desmond Bane, if you want to get to G.G. Jackson, Jaren Jackson Jr., it does make a little bit of sense there. And then on the opposite side for the Golden State Warriors, we got Moses Moody and Draymond Green. Both this is questionable to play tonight. If Draymond Green were to miss and Trace Jackson Davis does start in his place, he could become an interesting play on tonight's slate overall. Moving over to the Philadelphia 76ers, they got Robert Covington, Joel Embiid, Kai Jones, and DeAnthony Melton. All this is out for tonight's game. And then we have Tobias Harris listed as questionable with his ankle injury. He's missed a couple games now, so we'll see whether or not he's ultimately back tonight or not. If he's unable to go, probably Nick Batum in that starting lineup once again tonight. And then for the Phoenix Suns, we got Josh Okogie and Damon Lee both out once again. And Bol this is probable to play. So no real changes here at this point in time. Moving over to the Clippers, they are without Russell Westbrook once again. And then Norman Powell and Terrence Mann, both listed as questionable to play tonight. Although Terrence Mann still is expected to play, so we'll see if anything changes with those two guys as the day moves along. And then on the Portland Trailblazers side, we got Malcolm Brogdon and Shane Sharp both out once again. Jeremy Grant listed as doubtful due to his hamstring injury. And then Matisse Thybulle listed as questionable. He's missed a couple games with an ankle injury as well. But with that being said, that's a quick little recap on all the injuries in play for tonight's slate overall. As always, I will be also listing all the injury updates down in the comments below as they do come out throughout the day, as well as the starting lineups as they do get announced throughout the night. But with that being said, we'll get moved over to DraftKings and talk about my core picks over there. So we are going to start off at the point guard position with Bruce Brown Jr. For the Toronto Raptors, $5,600, looking for 28 points out. Should be that de facto point guard for them tonight overall. Great pace-up spot versus the Sacramento Kings. So do like him quite a bit. Has some pretty safe upside unless they're like getting completely blown out of this game and then they decide to bench him. But that's kind of the downside. The upside is pretty great. You know, $5,600, looking for at least 28 out. Currently, I'm projected for 30 tonight. Definitely does offer some upside for more at the same time as well, though. Then at shooting guard, we're going to go with Anthony Simons for the Portland Trailblazers, $7,600. Looking for 38 out of him, exactly what he's been averaging so far in the season, and he's been playing really well as of late. Goes against the Clippers tonight. Should be a favorable matchup against James Harden and company, so do like him quite a bit once again. If they are staying in this game, he's probably going to be a big reason why. And even some of these games that haven't been quite as competitive, he still played pretty well in. So definitely do like his upside tonight. Currently, I'm projected for about 40. Definitely does have some upside for more at the same time as well. Then in small forward, we're going with G.G. Jackson here at $6,000. Started their most recent game for that Memphis Grizzlies team. Pace up spot tonight versus the Golden State Warriors. Should be a pretty interesting matchup for him overall. Definitely do like him quite a bit. Currently, I'm projected for 31, 32 tonight. Has a little bit of upside for more, as we've seen in recent games. Has a little bit of downside for less if he's not shooting the ball well once again, though. Then we move down to the power forward position with Keegan Murray, $5,500, looking for 27, 28 out of him. Essentially what he's been averaging so far in the season. Pretty good matchup tonight versus the Toronto Raptors. Toronto Raptors playing a little bit smaller too at this point in time too, so maybe a couple extra rebounds to go around for a guy like Keegan Murray just in general. But if he's knocking down that shot, he's going to look really good overall. Currently, I'm projected for about 29 tonight. Definitely does have some strong upside for more as well if he's shooting the ball well. However, if he's not, then obviously there is some downside for less at the same time as well. Then last but not least, we're going to the center position with Miles Turner, $6,600. Looking for 33 out of him. Essentially, he's been averaging so far in the season. Goes against the Detroit Pistons tonight. Should be a favorable matchup just in general. He's played against them 3 times this season and has outperformed his price tag all 3 times as well. So it looks like a pretty solid option just in general. But with that being said, if you go with these 5 players that do currently have listed here, you have $18,700 remaining, just over $6,200 per player. So at least early on to start the day, looking a little bit more like a bounce build type of day. But with that being said, there's going to be some value plays that do come up throughout the day. We'll kind of have to evaluate whether they're going to be good ones or bad ones. If they ultimately end up being good ones, then we could have some potential money to spend up for a player elsewhere as well. But with that being said, we'll get moved over to FanDuel and talk about my core picks over there. So we're going to start off at the point guard position. Once again, we got Anthony Simons, $7,900. Looking for 39, 40 points at him. It should be a favorable spot versus James Harden and company for him tonight. So definitely do like the upside he presents overall. He's been playing really well as of late. Currently have him projected for, about 40 to 41 fantasy points on the FanDuel side. Definitely has the upside and room for more. Has a little bit of downside for less, if they get blown out or something, but still really like Anthony Simons once again tonight. So he's a guy that is popping up for me on both sides overall. Then at shooting guard, I'm going to go with Keon Ellis here, $4,800. Not like the most attractive option, but going against the Raptors tonight should be starting. A guy that can do a little bit of everything here and there. If his minutes are pretty sizable once again tonight with no Kevin Huerter, could be a pretty interesting play overall. We're only looking for 24 out of him. Currently, I'm predicted for about 25 tonight. Has a little bit of upside for more, but does come with some pretty significant downside for less at the same time as well. If he doesn't go out there and get those minutes, if he's not playing well or something like that. But do like his upside just in general. And then we move down to small forward with Bruce Brown Jr., $5,300. Only looking for 26, 27 out of him. Currently, I'm projected for 30 tonight. He's a guy that can contribute in multiple categories and should be the de facto point guard for the Toronto Raptors tonight with no Emmanuel Quickley out there. And a very favorable matchup against the Sacramento Kings as well. And then we move down to power forward with Caleb Martin, $5,400. Looking for 27 out of him. Currently, I'm projected for about 28, 29 tonight. Goes against the Cleveland Cavaliers. More times than not, that's not the greatest matchup in the world. But, with kind of all the bodies they're missing, makes a lot of sense for him to go out there. Play decent-sized minutes, with no Duncan Robinson. Potentially no Jimmy Butler. Potentially no Nikola Jovic. There's going to be some extra minutes to go around just in general. So I do like Caleb Martin probably in that starting lineup, playing decent-sized minutes and really paying off at this price tag. And then last but not least, we go down to the center position with Miles Turner, $6,900. Looking for 34, 35 out of him, averaging about 33 so far on the season. Goes against the Detroit Pistons tonight. He has outperformed his price tag in all 3 of the matchups versus them this season. And did have one really strong performance versus them earlier this year where he had over 50 FanDuel points. But with that being said, if you go with the 5 players they do currently have listed, you have $29,700 remaining, just over $7,400 per player. So a little bit of room of flexibility. If you really want to pay up for somebody, you can probably do that on tonight's slate overall. But if you want to go with a little bit more balanced approach, you can definitely do that as well. Once again, we should be getting some value picks that do kind of open up as the day moves along. But with that being said, these are my core picks for both FanDuel and DraftKings for today, March 20th. As always, if you have any questions related to NBA DFS, be sure to drop them down in the comments below, and I'll get back to you as quickly as possible. I do ask that you please note whether those questions are more DraftKings or FanDuel specific, just so I can best help you as quickly and efficiently as possible. And then, as always, I'll be listing all the injury updates down in the comments below, as well as the starting lineups as they do get announced throughout the night. And then last but not least, my updated core will be posted probably about 20 to 30 minutes prior to lock on tonight's slate. That will be left as a pinned comment. If there's any other additional changes after that point in time, I will leave them as a reply to that pinned comment as well. But with that being said, if you are brand new to my channel, checking it out for the very first time, or have yet to subscribe, please consider doing so. Definitely would appreciate it. Helps to build the community that we're trying to build here at Coach Craig Sports, which is one that's truly for you, the viewers, helping you with your DFS. Right now, we just got NBA DFS going on in terms of the core pick videos Monday through Friday. But really, really soon, we'll be doing some MLB DFS. The first game of the MLB season was this morning between the San Diego Padres and the Los Angeles Dodgers. Obviously, with it just being a single game slate, not going to cover that. But once we get around to the 28th and regular season opening up for the rest of the teams, I will be doing core picks for FanDuel for that. And then also be sure to check out my UFL DFS, which will be coming up relatively soon as well. And then last but not least, if you're interested in prop betting, if you're interested in sports betting whatsoever, be sure to check out the links and promo codes down in the description below for BetUS, Parlay Play, and Prize Picks. If you are a brand new user on any one of those 3 sites, you sign up, you make your initial deposit, you will get a first match deposit bonus. For Prize Picks and Parlay Play, it's a 100% match on your initial deposit up to $100. And then for BetUS, it's 125% match on your initial deposit up to $2,500. So some pretty great opportunities to be had out there. And then with that being said, if you have any other additional questions related to that whatsoever, feel free to reach out to me, whether it's down in the comments or on Twitter at Coach Craig Sport, and be more than happy to help you with that journey as well. But with that being said, that's all that I truly have for today's video. Definitely do appreciate each and every one of you tuning in. Definitely means a lot to me. I hope that each and every one of you have a great rest of your day and some pretty good luck in NBA DFS tonight.